Hi guys, welcome to the EP7 podcast channel. I'm your co-host Rachel Donovan and I'm with the founder of EP7, Mr. George Halou.
Well, thank you. What an introduction. Good to be here. I love talking about Empowered for Purpose.
I know you do, George. We love hearing from you.
And you're such a great co-host. Let's get started.
Let's do it. Hello and welcome to the EP7 podcast. You're here with Rachel Donovan.
And George Halou, and I'm really concerned about you, Rachel. I'm hearing your voice and you've got...
Can you tell?
Yes, because I've been there. 3 weeks ago, I got knocked in the throat with a shocking virus and now I'm hearing it and it's not good, is it?
No, it hasn't been good, but I've been resting up and taking lots of vitamins and mostly doing the right thing.
Well, guys, while we were off air, I made Rachel laugh and she coughed instead of laughed. So if she coughs during the podcast, know that she's laughing.
I'm actually laughing, yeah. Exactly. It seems to set it off when I laugh and I gasp too much air and my lungs don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'll do my best.
My problem is I'll probably want to make you laugh now, which is cruel of me.
But you always do, no.
Okay, good. Thanks for letting me off the hook. I like how you've got that real gentle laugh that you keep in control.
Terrible. Well, to be honest, though, I don't know if I'm going to be laughing much unless you find a lighthearted aspect of this podcast. But
I doubt it.
I was just read an article actually before George and I started talking. Well, this article did focus more on young adults. So we're talking around the ages of 14, 15. Mm-hmm. And it was about the survey that was done. And a lot of them are finding that it's really common these days for their boyfriends. Well, because we've got to remember as well now with technology, there's a lot more social media and cameras on phones and things like that and access to pornography. And it's very common for the boys to be requesting naked photos of their, probably not even girlfriend, just of girls. And I just found this quite sad because obviously that's quite a young age to be sort of requesting that or pressured or even thinking that this was sort of an okay thing to do.
Gee, being a father of a 9-year-old, this is definitely disturbing to have to look at. Our technology has brought us to a place where there's a lot of risks involved in making little mistakes like that. You know, the first thing that popped into my head, Rach, is that when you create a digital image, it can spread all over the world. And that could be very demoralizing and traumatizing for a girl who thought in that little moment of maybe thinking she was being cheeky or funny or a way to, I don't know, please the guy because she's interested in him. She thinks that it's for his eyes only. But what if you fight with him one day and he wants to get back at you? What if some smart-ass friend of his gets a hold of his phone and shares it without his permission? What if your own parents find out about it? Or it gets sent to them? Or you get blackmailed? It scares me to think how wrong it can go for you. It makes me realize, when do I want to time educating my daughter?
Does she have a phone yet?
No, she has an iPod though.
Yeah.
I'm not really that concerned about my daughter in the sense that she has a real strong sense of, right and wrong and all that. But you can't underestimate peer group pressure. And during their adolescent years, they're so wanting to belong that it could definitely compromise their judgment, yeah?
Yeah. Well, what do you think about if we sort of talk about helping parents out there with children about how they would be looking after their daughters and sons in dealing with this kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because you've got a fairly open relationship. I know you've got a great relationship with your daughter.
I haven't talked about the birds and the bees yet, though. But I'm sensing that it should be soon.
What grade is she in?
She's in year 9, so she's at that age where it's getting close.
Yeah.
We shouldn't wait too long.
Will you do that or Sabina?
I think Sabina can, but I'm not fussed if we both do it.
Yeah.
I'm not actually concerned, to be honest. I'm actually looking forward to the funny side of it.
Yeah.
We're now creating a public podcast of this, so I've got to make sure Holly doesn't listen to it.
No.
Now, so what you're saying is we should explore how we could help parents talk to their child in a way that makes their child not be defensive, not shut down, and not feel like they're being judged. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, and also because, I guess the world we live in, we can help our children as much as we can, but I think they're going to be presented with those sort of crossroads where these opportunities, or not opportunities, where these situations present themselves and you want them to feel that they can make the right decision by themselves.
Yeah.
So feeling supported and feeling loved and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. It's great that you said that, Rach, because if you frame it as a cause and effect consequence scenario, and you say to them, if consequences like that don't faze them, then they can make that decision, but you don't endorse it, you don't approve of it, you don't want it to happen, and you'll be very disappointed, and you may enforce your own consequences if it does, but the broader consequences are hundreds of times worse than what a parent's going to do, like grounding them or confiscating whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So I like that idea. I like the idea of talk to the child like they're smart and they're good-natured and they want to do what's right. If you talk to a child as if they don't want to do the right thing and you have to hammer it into them, then you're just telling your child through your tone that they're not a good, decent person that would want to do the right thing. You might not be feeling and thinking that, but definitely if you're coming from fear and expecting that they would, that's what you're really communicating. So, Rach, if you had a daughter and she was, 10, 11, whatever, at what age group was this?
This was 14, 15.
Yeah, okay. But I'd say I'd get in earlier than that.
You'd be in earlier than that, absolutely,
I think so, yeah. You'd want to talk to her, wouldn't you, in a sense where you know she's conscientious?
Yes.
And she's mature, and that there may be some things about the broader ramifications of this situation that you've brought up that she may want to discuss with you, how she feels about that. And if she starts to say, no, Mum, how dare you think that? I'm saying, no, sweetheart, I'm just letting you know because I want you to discuss this with your friends, with your girlfriends, because I want you all to be informed and be there for one another to make good choices. Because if we don't discuss it and someone makes a mistake, then...
Well, I think I'd start with the first thing I'd let her know is that it's totally okay the way she's feeling. If the feeling was to come up of her wanting a boy to like her, if she's wanting attention, I'd let her know that's perfectly okay. And I understand, because I think a mistake could be doing the opposite to that, because then it makes them feel like conflicted. But if you just support them and saying, it's okay that one day this might happen and you want some attention from a guy because you like him. And I think from there, sort of say how important it is that they do treat you well, and that if he starts to ask things that make you uncomfortable, that perhaps you should question whether he really likes you, and you shouldn't really try to convince him otherwise because he doesn't really like you the way you like him, perhaps.
Yeah, I like that. And this is good. You're going to be a great mother, Rachel. You're like, that was good coaching style right there. But you were you were validating her.
Yeah.
Right? You were validating that it's normal to have these feelings of wanting to belong and wanting to please someone that you like. But then you would give her the ability to discern when the behavior was not really what she would want from someone that she would expect would like her the way she would want to be liked. I like that, being able to flesh that out, and because I think what you're doing is you're expanding the awareness of your child so that the moment someone is taking them down a path that's disrespectful, they see it as it's happening and they don't go there. And that's pretty cool. For me, though, what I was trying to do is I was trying to preempt that even if he was a sweet boy that was oozing with trust, you still shouldn't do it. Why? Because he's not in control of his phone all the time.
Yes.
And I know that people who are sweet and wonderful for a while all of a sudden something happens and they don't want to talk to each other again. And if you made a mistake with him and you didn't mean it and he's hurt and then he feels all angry and wants to get back at you, and it doesn't matter that you didn't mean it. It doesn't matter that you apologized. He may, in that moment of impulse, make a decision, share that image online in a terrible forum or amongst friends or family or whatever, your family even. And why would you even create an environment where things like that could happen? But you see, once again, I would definitely say it in a way of, is this a possibility? Do you agree that it's possible for someone to change and one day have a fight with you and then maybe make a decision? Would you agree that that's possible? Yes.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're playing Russian roulette when you make those little decisions. But the problem is Russian
roulette... That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
Russian roulette has a beginning and end, right? If your head's not blown apart, you get to live and you move on, and it's the end of the Russian roulette. The problem with the image is once it's out of your hand, that Russian roulette keeps playing because you don't know.
Yeah.
Whether it's months or years down the track, for some stupid reason, your image is somewhere where it shouldn't be.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's really important to have the conversation with your child, because at that young age, you know, they don't know how to really make a decision properly yet. And as an adult, obviously things change and you can make a decision and bear the consequences a lot better than the bullying a child would in a schoolyard at 14, 15 years of age. So I said to George earlier, I'm not saying to anyone who's listening that if you don't want, you know, what anyone wants to do in their adult life with their partner and totally different in a sense.
We're not being prudes.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm really just looking at those young minds when they're not still formed and they're still learning and growing and they're put under these pressures is really something that I'm just worried about for those young minds, about what they can experience. And with bullying, as bad as it is, with this sort of thing entering, it's just a really important discussion.
The world has changed so much.
I saw on Instagram today, though, they released a thing that you can actually block people now if they make, like, you know, the trolls on the internet, you can actually block them.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do that before, which I think is...
You couldn't do it before?
Yeah. No. So I actually think it's a good idea, because I think there's no need for that. If someone's going to be nasty, you don't have to put up with that, because there's no way of stopping them otherwise. So I think that's good.
You know, not only can people take your image, but they can put some nasty caption on it and create a meme out of it to make it spread as a mockery. And so you got to be careful that you may think that your image is boring and people won't care, but you don't know what creative person can decide to spin it in some way that makes it go viral. You know what I would do? I'd actually look at girls that were traumatized by this experience who are trying to share how bad it can be. And then I would let your child see how they had to learn the hard way and their regrets, so that they could feel for that person and relate, and therefore come from a place where they shared in the emotion of the consequence.
Definitely. I wonder where someone could find something like that, but that would be a great resource.
I would Google maybe things like girls traumatized by the images shared online, or, you know, like, I'm not sure, but you just keep playing around with the words until you find brave girls who talked about their stories of how they were treated. And that might be a good way to share with your child that you found these things, that you're concerned because you don't want your own child to ever be in a situation where she's compromised like that. And then you create a conversation about it. And
sometimes, you know, a child likes to be rebellious. And so if the information isn't coming from you and it's coming from someone else, it can have a significantly more weighting behind it.
Yeah. Especially when they hear the person giving an account of how they never ever thought that person would do that to them. You know, like those things, they'll be able to go, well, that's right. That's the whole point. You know, you're not making a decision because you think you can predict the fact is it's unpredictable. You don't know the circumstances.
You know, it just got me thinking. I remember my mum sitting me down and reading me an article in a magazine. It was probably New Idea or something. And it was actually about a girl who had anorexia. And she read out to me her account of what she felt like with food and everything. And I remember actually that has stuck with me. That painted at a young age, a really clear picture of anorexia, not eating and what damage that does and how serious it was. I'm just thinking now if she was kind of trying to do that in some sort of way as well in terms of, because we were all dancers and there were dancers in our studio that actually did unfortunately get diagnosed with anorexia. And so, because Mum used to give me a lot of lectures because I know she was coming from love, but that one really stuck in a different sense because it was coming from a separate person telling her story. So there could be something in that.
Yeah, isn't that interesting how it stuck for you because of that?
Totally, yeah.
Because you related to that girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that you could recall it so vividly. And
her name was Bronte. It's coming back to me now, yeah.
You see, the fact that you see there's a personal connection with that girl. So I think that's a really good idea to create that connection for your child, to really feel for those that made those mistakes so that they've got that emotional motivation, not to go there themselves.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we hopefully have given you guys some tools, some ideas. And I know I'm grateful for this conversation because I'm definitely going to create that opportunity to help my daughter. But it's a bit too early for her because I just know she's so far removed from that world. Yeah. But I definitely want to talk to Sabina about it and time it so that we protect her from whatever images she sends.
Yeah. Well, thank you, George. And
thank you, Rachel. That was a good topic, Rachel.
Yeah, I think it's an important one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, love to hear what you think. Please jump onto our Facebook page, EP7 Official, and let us know if you're in a similar situation, if you've had any techniques that worked for you, and we will see you soon.
All right. Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us on another EP7 podcast. Remember to keep the conversation going on our Facebook page, EP7 Official.
Bye for now.